Oh, hey, Alice. I've seen you before. You're that weird person that keeps walking in on my conversations. You walked in on another conversation I'm having with Joseph Jared.
Hello.
Thanks
Hi,
for
Alex.
being here again.
Thank you for having me, Alex.
It's
Appreciate it.
been a minute since we last time you were on.
I think that was sometime towards the end of 2021.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So
2021.
it's been a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Wow. I
Yeah.
was gonna say it's
Yeah.
almost been a year, but you're right. It's been longer than that. It's
Mhm.
because it was around the time. It was before Marriage came out, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was like the week that we released our last record.
And what a momentous time because now you're releasing a new record.
For sure. Yeah, we're very excited. This is Cinema Junkie live for no one at the Five Spot. It is a live album. Um, it is a live performance of our first album, Cinema Junkie, which we released in 2016. And we recorded this as a live stream in early 2021 at the Five Spot while they were still shut down. I think it was like less than a month before they ended up reopening. So we kind of got this in under the wire with them doing those shows that they live streamed and recorded. And we played our whole first album, and uh, we were so happy with how it came out that we're like, well, we got to put this out. Uh, so it's taken a while to get it together, but we finally have it ready to release this week, and it's our first time having anything on vinyl, which we're really stoked about.
That's awesome, and it looks very pretty as well.
Thank you. Yeah, Emily, my wife, bandmate, who
Yeah.
designed the whole thing and did the
Oh, wow,
artwork,
really?
and hand wrote all the credits on the back as well.
That's awesome.
And
So she did the cover.
she did the cover, yeah. So this was based on a photo uh, from the original album cover, of me in a movie theater, kind of looking a
Okay.
little haunted by the screen, if you will. And
What movie were you seeing?
I'm trying to remember. So that photo I would have taken. It was at the Belcourt, um, like right before they shut down to remodel. I don't know if you were around then.
I've been to the Belcourt.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
The old Belcourt. This would have been like 2015
Okay,
or
yeah.
so. Yeah, a long time ago
That
now.
I came to Nashville in 2015,
Okay.
so I probably missed that.
Yeah, but the old Belcourt was a big part of my life for a long time.
Gotcha.
And so if I'm not mistaken, the movie I was seeing when I took the photo that ended up on the cover was the 2015 version of Macbeth
Okay.
with Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard. I don't know if you've.
I've seen that once a long time ago, very stoned. I have a vague
Yeah.
recollection.
That seems like it'd be a good
Yeah.
stoned movie.
I remember
Yeah,
liking it. Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Macbeth is my
intense.
favorite Shakespeare, so
Mhm.
yeah.
But that was really at a time in my life when I was like just literally going to see just about every movie. And that kind of informed this record, which we wrote and made at that around that same era as well.
Do you mind if I hold it up for
Of
Alice to
course,
see the
yeah.
album cover?
Totally.
Look how beautiful this is. The actual vinyl itself is also very nice.
Yeah.
There's the front by Emily, and yeah, he said they wrote the back too. It's very nice.
Yeah.
You can get one of these at their show. When this goes up, it'll be next Thursday. So this you can get this tomorrow.
Cool.
And you guys will be where's that release at?
So we're having our release show Friday the 25th at the Vinyl Lounge.
Which, oh, perfect.
Yeah. Now they have a vinyl pressing plant at that location, which is not where we had these done, but it did still seem like a fitting place for a release show for our first vinyl. So we're excited to play there for the first time as well. We've got a bunch of great bands on it.
Yeah, I saw Echo Pilot's on there.
Echo Pilot, a couple of folks that have played at our house shows at Dollywood when we've had those, and then some old friends of ours as well, which I could give the whole rundown. Justin Payne and Company, Echo Pilot, Plastic Angels, Mice on the Drive, and us, The Dangerous Method.
Hell yeah. Are you doing are you playing the album?
So we're not planning to play the whole album. Ironically, like, this album is a live performance of a whole album. So we kind of felt like doing that again would be a little
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I see what you're saying.
It seemed a little redundant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you should do the album in its entirety at Vinyl Lounge and record it, and then release that.
yeah, sort of a meta.
It never ends.
Down a rabbit hole. But no, we're excited to play some of this, but also do some newer stuff. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here.
Totally.
Definitely go tomorrow to Vinyl Lounge to see them perform. Cinema Junkie is a very apt title for the Dangerous Method record, because
for sure,
knowing you and Emily, you guys are very much cinema junkies.
It's true. Yeah. I got really into film, I guess, in college, and just kind of had this drive to watch everything. I had these like books and lists that were like, these are all the movies you need to watch, the essentials. I kind of went down like every one of those that I could find and wanted to complete all these and check the titles off, and that kind of became an obsession a little bit and a big part of my life for a long time. And my now wife Emily and I were started dating in college, and we kind of shared that whole thing together for a long time.
Where'd you guys go to school?
So I went to we didn't go to the same school. I went to Trevecca Nazarene University here in Nashville.
Yeah.
And Emily went to Austin P in Clarksville.
Oh, okay, cool.
So a lot of back and forth those years, meeting in the middle.
Yeah. Did you ever consider getting into film, like making film?
It's interesting. Like, as much as I kind of like love consuming films and watching them and thinking about them, I've never really had all that much interest in the filmmaking process for myself. I like learning about how other people do it and knowing the background of things. But I guess music has always sort of been the focus of the priorities.
That's how I feel about music.
Yeah,
like I'm a
you're
big consumer.
an appreciator.
Yeah.
And you like knowing about it and kind of curating. And
I was really sheltered growing up, so like when I turned 18, and like I guess I was younger than that, probably like 16, and like really became part of the internet, like I had a lot of catching up to do on like the class, like so I went through like IMDb, like essentials, like and I watched all the classics. So I kind of had like a renaissance of going through these movies.
I think my experience was pretty similar to that, because I think I did kind of come later to a lot of that stuff than a lot of people did.
What have you seen anything good recently?
I mean,
like this year, I guess.
Sure. Like I know it's a bit of a cliche at this point, but I went to see Oppenheimer and
Barbenheimer
on the same day, and that was
which order did you see him in?
Oppenheimer in 70mm IMAX, which was mind blowing, and then Barbie afterwards.
You have to do it that way.
I think that seemed right. Yeah.
It's well, it is right, and it's absolutely wrong to see Barbie and then go see Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I think unless you just want to like have bummer vibes at the end of the ride.
I haven't seen either, and I wanted to do the Barbenheimer experience. I haven't seen either yet.
I mean, I guess they're still out there. There's still time.
There's still time. I might do that this weekend.
Yeah,
Um,
great idea.
yeah,
But no, like to me, like this became such a meme and a joke, and a lot of hype was built around it. But yeah, I found that it was one of those experiences where all of that hype was totally justified. Like I thought both of those movies were like absolutely amazing at what they were achieving and kind of at a high level of what each of those kinds of movies could be.
that's
and
cool.
and having that contrast kind of really I don't know, just helps you appreciate what
Yeah.
both of them are about, you know.
So it ended up actually being like a good pairing,
Yeah,
not just a
totally.
meme. Yeah.
And you know, they're very different obviously, but I think they're both like kind of thought-provoking and serious minded in their own ways.
That's funny
Yeah.
to hear that about Barbie, but based on what I know about it, that seems true.
I think they kind of loaded it up with a lot of uh I mean,
It's like topical.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
topical. It's kind of about uh uh just society, gender relations, patriarchy, feminism. There's a lot of themes running under the surface of that, and on the surface of that I found really compelling.
Do you feel like it's genuinely for all ages, or do you kind of have to be older to appreciate a lot of the
Yeah,
nuances?
I wonder if I wonder what kids are getting out of it. I'm sure
Mm.
that like just kind of the fun, silly parts of it are more for them. But then there's other stuff going on for
Like
adults.
might go over their head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it probably does, but I think they probably
Yeah.
still enjoy.
I think a lot of the best kids movies are actually like that. Like
Yeah.
one of my like I made a few years ago, I made a list of like my top 15 films,
Hmm.
and like Lego Movie
Yeah.
ended up like in the top 4 or 5, like in between like The Shining and Apocalypse Now. So it's
Sure.
like
Yeah. Sure.
super dark and depressing, and then Lego Movie.
I get
And
it. Yeah.
like Lego Movies like that too, where it's one of my favorite films, like unironically, because like there's actually it's a kids movie, but there's like a lot going on
Yeah.
in that film.
No, I agree, and I think Barbie really uh kind of uses the Lego movie as a reference and
Mm.
a jumping off point in a lot of
Oh,
ways.
that's
It
awesome.
kind of like how to build a story around like a product that we all, you know,
Yeah,
are familiar with, and kind of investigate what those things mean to us, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, a cultural icon for
Yeah,
sure. Have you seen Skinamarink?
I did see that. I saw it in theaters. Yeah.
Oh, wait, where'd you see it?
They released it like for one day at a few theaters,
Oh
and
man.
we went to the one, the Hollywood 27,
Okay.
100 Oaks.
Yeah.
And man, I'm not one to like get super scared by horror movies. I enjoy horror movies just because I like the aesthetic. But there's not a lot that really scares me. But I found Skinamarink like genuinely deeply unsettling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was like seriously pretty shook up after watching it. It
Yeah.
took me a while to kind of feel normal again.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
That's my experience with that movie as well. Is like, yeah, man, it's a little bit demanding of your attention.
Yeah.
Like you have to dedicate yourself to you can't
Yeah.
be looking at your phone or anything.
No, I think seeing it in the theater really
I can imagine.
was a lot
That's
easier to lock into it than it
yeah.
would have been otherwise. I'd be interested to see if it would work as well
I
for
watched
me.
it
Not, yeah.
with a friend, and I think that was a mistake, but it's still like I think we both were kind of like, this is I don't feel right. This is fucked
Yeah.
up.
And it's hard to really describe or put into words like how it's accomplishing that, but I think what it is somehow it like seriously puts you in the perspective of being a small child,
Yeah.
which is not something that I've seen very much.
I totally agree. That movie had like a $15,000 budget,
Yeah.
filmed it in the house he grew up in as a kid.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I watched a short little thing with the director, and he was talking about how like basically like less is more. Like there's a lot of if you haven't seen it, Alice, there's a lot of shots of just like empty hallways, like opaque darkness. And what that forces you to do is like put something in that darkness. And that is scarier than anything that they could show you.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. He does a lot with very little in that film. I thought it was very well done for what it is. Skinamarink's one of those films that it's like people either like, wow, this is dumb, or they're like, holy shit, this is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, it worked for me. Definitely. I felt the latter about it.
Yeah. I think it's all about, like we were talking about, like if you're willing to invest yourself to this.
You have
to buy into Skinamarink.
Yeah, I think that's true of a lot of the best movies, shows, books, music, whatever,
Yeah, that's a good point. If you're not, it's not going to work if you're not willing to let it work on you. Yeah. I'll get off of Skinamarink here in a second, but
no, go ahead. Yeah,
I really appreciated that film. Just it did something. I've never seen a film like that.
Yeah,
like there's nothing like Skinamarink.
Totally itself, and its own thing, unique.
I can't, like you said, I can't remember the last time I was like scared of a movie like that. That actually, the only other film I can like remember like being like genuinely afraid of was Get Out. But I have a particular relationship with Get Out because when I saw it, I was on MDMA, and it was the first time I had done Molly. And
interesting choice.
Yeah, so I thought I had done Molly until I did Molly. And then I was like, oh, whatever I did before was not this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I did that, and you've seen the film, right?
Oh yeah.
It got to I didn't even make it that far into it because there's a scene where the main character comes into the house after he's smoking a cigarette, and he sits down, and there's like a whole hypnosis scene.
Yeah.
Kind of like towards like the middle beginning of the film.
Yeah, the first sunken place. Part, right? Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And I didn't even like get to the sunken place part. I remember very distinctly. I was watching this movie, and she's ringing the cup, and she's putting him in a trance. And this skip like 5 minutes if you haven't seen Get Out, but like she's putting him in this trance, and he kind of has she's like, do you smoke in front of my daughter? And he has a moment where he goes like, wait, are we already? And then she puts him back under. But when he kind of had like a moment of clarity, I realized I felt strange. And I'm like, this movie is fucking with me. This movie is doing something to me, like trying to manipulate me in some way. I've seen this movie not under the influence of drugs, and I don't think that's what's happening, just to be clear.
But it somehow the combination of the stimuli was
in the back of my head. I'm still kind of like, are they aware of the effects that this is going to have on people like particularly susceptible to this kind of influence?
I wonder. Yeah,
it makes me wonder. I don't think there's necessarily anything nefarious going on with that, but I never felt something like that, because usually a horror movie is like you're disturbed by grotesque imagery. This felt like an attack. I felt like I was under attack, and I've never had a movie experience like that outside of that.
Yeah. Well, I think Jordan Peele is very intentional about wanting to have an effect on the audiences, and he's another filmmaker who kind of loads things up with ideas.
Yeah.
I really loved Nope. It came out last year. I don't know if you've seen that, but
that's not he's done 3 now, I believe.
Get Out, Us, and
Us.
And Nope was the most recent one.
Us is the other one I've seen. I haven't seen Nope yet.
Yeah.
Was that good?
I loved it. it's kind of I guess not as overtly like horrifying as the other two, but it's got sort of a lighter tone in a way. But I also feel like it's another one where he really kind of has a lot of ideas under the surface, and it kind of pushes buttons in the brain to think about a lot of different topics, and it's kind of on the audience member to piece together what's going on in that film. I feel like, and
Yeah.
I really liked it a lot.
Do you and Emily watch a lot of movies together, or is it like one of you will find something and be like, you gotta watch this?
That's kind of evolved a little bit over the years, I guess. Back in the day, we started going through some of those lists together, and kind of were like, all right, we're gonna watch all these together. And then I don't know, there was a time there where I think maybe Emily got burned out on the whole list thing, and she was like, I don't really want to keep going with this for
Became
now.
like an errand, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was maybe a little too much pressure. Uh, and so I kept on finishing some of that on my own. And now it varies. There's stuff that I'll watch and then recommend to her, and vice versa, or stuff that we'll watch together. It really depends.
That's probably healthier than like going down a list.
Yeah, I mean, I think that has its place, but like, I think anything that you get like overly attached to or hung up on in that way is maybe not the best mindset to have.
Yeah.
And I kind of explored that a little bit in this album. I would say that's the Cinema Junkie concept. Especially Junkie, the first track, is sort of explicitly about that sort of push and pull in their relationship. And
Gotcha.
yeah.
So is it a concept record? It didn't even occur to me to doubt till now.
So loosely, I would say there are several songs that are named after filmmakers or actors, and kind of surveying a particular film or a particular person's body of work, and kind of I guess applying that to one's life. There's a song called Keaton, which is inspired by Buster Keaton, the silent film comedian, filmmaker. And there's just a lot of images on that song that I draw from his work. He kind of had this famous persona of being a great stone face, and sort of having specific goals that he like very tenaciously worked towards no matter what obstacle, and all the time like not showing any emotion or fear or reaction to it. And I kind of wrote a song about that. There's a song on this record called Nicolas Cage, who
oh, I've heard that track.
yeah. That's one we play live pretty often. We released that as one of the singles from this live record as well. And the concept of that is kind of talking to a loved one who is this unique and amazing person, but also kind of they have a tendency to lose their way and disappoint, which is how I sort of felt about Nicolas Cage's films at a certain time. Like,
that's understandable.
Yeah, he's absolutely
super hit or miss, I guess.
Has always been one of my favorite actors. Like, is undeniably incredibly talented, but kind of went through a period where he kind of just had to take whatever movie was offered. He had some financial problems, so
that wasn't long ago.
Yeah, just sort of through the 2010s, most of that decade, I would say, which is when we read all this. So just a bunch of just like interchangeable, low budget red box thriller kind of, and it was hard for a while to wade through and find uh what would be worthwhile of his to watch, and kind of using that as a metaphor for a relationship I thought was an interesting concept for
Yeah,
film. So
that's a cool concept for a song, like, because I get what you're saying. Like, we probably all know someone like that, and we all know a Nick Cage.
sure, yeah.
uh, it's so funny. I was just talking to a coworker today about Nick Cage, and
Mhm.
I was telling them about a movie called Joe.
Joe, yeah,
I
very
that
very
movie has,
underrated, yeah.
yeah, that movie has like a special place in my heart, but it's so fucked up. It's so
Mhm.
dark, but I feel like he did a really great job in that. Uh,
Yeah,
and that was kind of in the era of where he was like doing all these weird
for
movies,
sure, that was in the middle of it. That was like one of the few like
good ones.
good spots in that period, I would say. And I feel like over time, like he kind of has developed some sort of like ticks and traits as an actor where he's good at like going way over the top and kind of like having big moments of ridiculousness or being hyper expressive or what have you. But Joe is one of the rare films where I feel like he just didn't rely on any of that and just kind of was in the character and
Yeah,
went deep with it. Yeah, that's one of my
yeah,
favorites for sure.
it hits hard.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, he's a very like versatile actor too, and like there's, I feel like one of his like best like qualities is like he's got like an instantly recognizable, well, face, but also voice.
Yeah,
Like he's got a very iconic voice.
right.
He should. I wonder if he's done much voice acting actually.
He's definitely done a few. He was in Into the Spider-Verse
Oh yeah,
as
one of the Spider-Mans.
yeah,
Was it Noir?
it was the noir. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was the noir one, I believe. And he's done a few other animated movies, but that was definitely a good one.
yeah. He's very versatile. Like done a lot of comedy, done a lot of like serious roles.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know, what I found inspiring about him even through all that kind of a down period was like uh he never like just phoned it in, you know?
Hmm.
Like even if the movie he was in wasn't anything particularly inspiring or special, he kind of showed up and still invested himself in it. And I think that's like, I don't know, a good life
Hmm.
lesson in a way.
On that, he's also like a prolific meme. Like there's so many
Sure.
memes around Nick Cage, like the
Yeah.
and
That's from Vampire's Kiss, which if you haven't seen is another great movie.
I
Yeah.
haven't. Just familiar to me. And then Wicker Man. No, that's not Wicker Man. Oh no, not the bees.
Yeah, Wicker Man. Yeah,
That
yeah.
is Wicker
That's
Man.
from Wicker Man. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
I
iconic.
think it's just a testament to like him just going for it no matter what, right? And like,
Yeah, it's like this movie is garbage, but at least Nick Cage, like he's committed.
yeah,
It's a real artist.
absolutely. Yeah, you know, it's even though, and that's the point of the song. Like at the end of the day, even if somebody is doing things that you don't always think are great or don't understand, like they've still just got that spark that you love,
Mm,
and I do definitely feel that way about Nick Cage himself
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
What other songs on the record are based after film stars or directors?
Yeah, there is another song called Wells, which was inspired by the career of Orson Welles, who directed Citizen Kane at a
Mm,
very young age, and that was hailed by a lot of people for a lot of years as possibly the greatest film ever
mm,
made, and I'm definitely a huge fan of it. But then uh, him kind of not being given that level of control or resources ever again after that because it wasn't a success in the ways that they wanted it to be.
mm.
The people who put him in that position, you know. uh, so I don't know. I found something sort of existential about that. Like, what do you do when uh, like the first thing you do is the best thing that you'll
Hmm.
ever do?
That's tough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artists run into that issue. Like we recently did a Clockwork Orange for the book club, and Anthony Burgess does a foreword where he's like, "This is my least favorite work," and it's like
Mm,
my by far my most popular.
yeah.
And he also hates like Kubrick's adaptation.
Yeah.
It's like not a
That's
fan.
interesting. Yeah, I've read the book and seen the movie, and I really like both, and but I can see how they're pretty different in a lot of ways. And
He had his biggest pet peeve is like when he released the book for his American publisher, took the final chapter out of the book
mm,
because the final chapter of the book is like so like he gets out of the mental institution, and like he's being used as a pawn for this like this rebel faction basically, and then he has an accident where he hits his head and he got kind of like goes back to being who he was,
right.
and that's where the movie ends.
Hmm.
But the book has a final chapter about how like he kind of like it's like it becomes a coming of age story,
Hmm.
like it like just in the last chapter about like this was out everything before was adolescence, and now he's like coming into being like a person, you know,
Yeah.
because like he really struggles with like the chaplain in the story is like it's not your fault, like it's this fucked up society you live in that's manipulated you, which is like a very true part of the story because like even the nadsat, the dialogue, the slang they use, there's a part in the book where it talks about how that is actually propaganda to make youth more violent, like it's
Mm-hmm.
specifically put into society to manipulate it. And he the character Alex like has such a struggle, like he's like, no, I am responsible for my actions,
Mm,
and then as an adult he's like, no, I wasn't. And
right.
taking that
Yeah.
out of the film, the American publisher's argument was, well, British audiences might need like a happy ending, but America can handle the edgy, like it ends
Mm,
hard. And he's like, no, that's not. I didn't do it to soften the blow. I did it because that's the like this is the
right.
resolution. Like
Right.
you ruined my book. And
Yeah.
so Kubrick based it off of the American adaptation of the book. So he's like, well, fuck this movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the movie probably gets a decent amount of the way there to exploring what he was trying to say
Yeah.
in the book, but for him, I guess it wasn't
And for
wasn't enough.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, authors hardly ever like adaptations,
Oh,
so
sure. Yeah. I know like the guy responsible for The Witcher
mm,
hates the games and the show.
yeah,
Like he doesn't like any of the adaptations of it.
right.
It's got to be tough, you know.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Uh, it's interesting. Going back to the songs on the
Yeah.
record. The final track is American Splendor, which is named after uh, a series of comics which were adapted into a film by this writer named Harvey Pekar.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but basically the concept of the comics, which were this kind of underground self-published work that became a sensation and grew this big cult following. But this man like literally just writes comic books about his everyday life and experiences, no matter how mundane. Um,
Hmm.
and he did that just kind of working in obscurity for years.
Wow.
Still had a day job, but was producing this great work that kind of casts light on just like you know ordinary life has these moments of beauty in it, or strangeness or pain or whatever, but let's just look at it.
Hmm. That's interesting.
And eventually this was adapted into a film. I think he resisted it for a really long time because he kind of felt like a movie wouldn't get what he was going for. But the way that those filmmakers approached it was to have uh, like part of the film be uh, like dramatized, uh, scenes from the work, from his life. It stars Paul Giamatti as Harvey. Um, and then part of the movie is a documentary with the real Harvey, where they interview him and
Whoa,
kind of follow him around. Yeah.
interesting.
So in a way, I think they succeeded at kind of
Oh,
striking that balance and um, kind of
that's like oddly faithful. Yeah,
yeah. I think that's the only way they could have done it. But uh, it's interesting. Like I think the only reason he ended up giving the rights to do it was because they offered to pay him enough that he could finally retire from his day job, like
mm,
after all these years of just kind of working and creating this art. And that inspired me. Like, I am really passionate about creating music and kind of doing what I think is authentic
oh yeah,
to me in that. But that's not going to be something that's like super popular. I feel like
sure.
I'm not necessarily going for what's going to appeal to everybody.
Oh yeah, you're very much so a real artist, man.
Oh, thank you. I
Like
appreciate that.
it's extremely vulnerable and raw. Just marriage is a incredible record.
Yeah, thank
Like
you.
you both clearly put like your heart and soul, like the whole band put their heart and soul into the creation of that piece of work.
I
I'm
appreciate that.
very interested to listen to Cinema Junkie as well.
Hmm.
Is there a court? So I guess there's a version of this that isn't live
Yeah,
available as well.
yeah, we that's been out for years. That was our first release way back in 2016. We had barely been a band for it was less than a year when we made that record. I'd written these songs. I'd finally put together a group of people that I
Hmm.
could perform with. Uh, I was 27 when we first played a show. I feel like that's a lot later
Man,
to this than a lot of people get started. And I'd had these songs that I've been writing for years when we finally like started trying to pursue it in some way.
wow.
Um, and so we did want to like immediately get these songs recorded, and I'm proud of that record. But in a way, I feel like we also kind of weren't really prepared to do it justice in some ways. I feel like there's some rough edges and definitely some things that we would have done differently about that original recording. It's out there, I'm not. It's not like a disown it or I'm gonna
Yeah.
take it down or anything. People can hear it, but I I always kind of as we developed as a band, we changed drummers a couple times, and the guy that we've been with for years now, our friend John D. Miller. I feel like when he joined, was really a moment where things clicked and we kind of like found our sound and style as a band more so than we had before that.
Yeah, I can't really imagine the dangerous method without John.
Yeah. He brings a lot to it. He's an incredible musician. He has such a sense of dynamics and has such energy, and he kind of brings something to it that we didn't have before. So ever since we kind of got to that point, I really had thought a lot about revisiting our first album and coming up with some kind of new version of it. And uh, I had thought about a live record and what it would take to do that for a long time. And um, is I mean, sidebar, I've loved live albums my whole life. Like, uh, there's something about that that I just find really compelling. Going back to stuff like the Who live at Leeds, Uh, there was it Crosby, Stills, Nash and
Oh yeah,
Young. Four-Way
yeah,
Street is an
yeah,
album that I
man.
grew up with that I loved a lot.
Oh
There's
yeah,
just
it's a great record.
yeah, there's just something about a live rock record that just feels so different and cool to me.
Hmm.
And I wanted to do one of our own for a long time, and the idea of coming up with a revisiting of Cinema Junkie,
Yeah,
those two kind of dovetail together. I wasn't sure how to do that, but then the whole COVID thing happened, and it kind of changed everything. I was stuck inside. We didn't really get the chance to practice or play as a band for like over a year. A lot going on in the world and in our lives, and uh, that was kind of a weird reset point for all of us, as we all know.
sure.
Um, but when I heard about the Five Spot doing these sort of quarantine live stream shows,
That was a weird time.
it
I
was,
remember
yeah.
them doing that too.
Um, and I watched a few, and I felt like they were really doing the production at a high level of quality, more so than I was seeing from a lot of places.
Yeah,
I was impressed by it, and uh, figuring out that that was something that was accessible to us, like they would have us for that, which was cool because we'd never gotten booked at the Five Spot before that.
oh wow.
So us playing for that live stream was our first time getting to play there. On top
So is
of
this you guys in the staff or like a handful
yeah,
of people?
just two other people. One guy
Wow.
one guy running sound, one guy running the cameras.
Holy shit.
So yeah, that's why the full title of the record is Cinema Junkie Live for No One at the Five Spot, because we played just to an empty room, just to the two of them, uh, run it for us, which was kind of a strange feeling.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I bet.
but when we knew we were going to do this, the idea of performing Cinema Junkie all the way through kind of came back to me, and I was like, let's like get really really prepared for this, and if we do it right, this can be the version of these songs and of this record that we have always like heard in our heads, in a way.
Yeah.
So we practiced really really hard, and it was our first time really getting back together to practice in a long time, and I think uh we just kind of had this pin-up energy and this frustration and fear that was in all of our minds and hearts for all that time. And I think that when we went to do this performance, that really kind of came through in
Oh,
it.
that I mean that energy probably adds something like really unique to the recording.
Yeah. And uh we we're usually just a three-piece band, but we decided to to add some guests to kind of fill it out and make it like more of the full vision of the record and of what we wanted these songs to sound like. So we got my sister also, whose name is Emily, who had sung on some songs on the original Cinema Junkie. We got her to do backing vocals at the live stream with us. Um, we also got our friend Michael Arand, who
Yeah.
of Taxiway.
Yeah.
We were starting the Taxiway project right around the same time that we did this performance.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
that was all kind of happening. We were like trying to figure stuff out
And
for
another prolific artist, man. Very
Michael's
talented.
amazing, yeah. But he had played with us a number of times before. We were in a band together called Blind Tigers before
I
all of this
remember
as
the
well.
name,
Yeah,
Sing It on Bills. I don't think I ever saw Blind
yeah.
Tigers, but I remember the name.
So that was a project that Mike started with our other friend Rory, and back at the beginning of the Dangerous Method, they were kind of the first band that we sort of like became tight with and got to know through playing shows and being around in the scene.
That's awesome.
And we kind of had this bond from the beginning. Every year for I guess about 6 years in a row, our first 6 years as a band, we did a special show every December called Blind and Dangerous, where we combined members of Blind Tigers and the Dangerous Method.
That's awesome.
And played on each other's songs and kind of came up with a unique set each year for that special show. So all that to say that Mike had played with us a lot before that and already knew a lot of these songs. And we were looking for somebody to join us for this performance, and who better than Mike, who already had been part of this for a long time. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
And and all of that came about because they said that the maximum number of people who could participate in the performance with the restrictions and rules they had under these kind of quarantine guidelines was 5 people. So I'm like, if we can use 5 people, I'm going to use all 5 people.
Yeah.
And I was really we practiced, the 5 of us, quite a lot, and really focused in on bringing out the best of these songs. And I think when the time came to do it, it really just came together in a way that couldn't have happened any other way, you know.
So you had mic'd it up in such a way that you knew it was going to eventually be released as an album.
That was the hope. That's kind of what we were wanting to achieve when we went into it. And we're like, well, we get one shot at this. It is live. So if we mess this up, it's not going to work out. But at the end of the day, like we felt like we nailed it. We got it in the one take, and we were able to take the tracks from that. We got our friend Mike Tristan to take the tracks and do a mix of it for us.
Nice.
And I'm like, I can't express how proud I am of how this record came out. It's maybe my favorite thing we've ever done. It's a real lightning in a bottle kind of thing. And I think that even if people have heard the original album, this is going to be something new for them that hopefully tops it, you know.
Yeah.
And we'd been wanting to release music on vinyl for a long time, and when we got
this is your first vinyl.
This is our first vinyl.
Gotcha.
And when we got the mix and heard it, and we were just so impressed at how it had turned out and how everybody's work had gone into it. And we're like, yeah, this now's the time. This has got to be the first thing we put on vinyl.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. It's an interesting thing to, like, I mean, just the story going into that is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a bold choice. Like, is there a video of that recording? I guess not.
There is actually, yeah. So they live streamed it. We got the video from it too. I have been kind of holding on to that in the archives.
I understand.
But I think once we have the record out, we are gonna put some of the video out as well.
So. Right on. And I guess this album will also be available digitally.
Yeah, it is. We are selling it through Bandcamp. You can purchase it digitally there if that's something you're into. I don't think there's too many people who are these days, but it's going to be on all the streaming platforms too.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're nasty and you like physical objects, would definitely encourage checking out the vinyl. So if I could show this.
Oh yes, please do.
So we did a full run of just regular black records. Those are all available. But
I was talking to Brant Himlin briefly before we sat down, and he was like, make sure Joe shows off the album.
Of course, yeah. So this is a special edition of it. There are only 25 of these. Made by beautiful. There's this company called Wax Major Records, out of Cleveland, Ohio, who specializes in just like this totally unique uh, sort of uh, colored vinyl that is really a work of art in itself. Um, we were fortunate enough to get them to do a limited run of those. We've pre-sold the majority of them, but there's still like a handful of these that people can still buy.
Do you mind centering that on the camera?
Of
I'll let
course,
you know
yeah.
when it's kind of in focus.
Sure.
Yeah, so like a little bit down.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
So you can see the color. That's all just like colored wax that was swirled together. This is the design that they call a label blowout. So they took pieces of the label and that's embedded inside the record.
Wow.
And just the color is beautiful. They're all a similar color scheme and design, but each one of the wax mages is unique and is its own thing. So we're really happy with how these came out, and excited for people to get them.
It's a unique object for a unique record.
Yeah. I think this belongs in such a package.
Sure.
Sure.
For sure. What's next for you guys? Are you working on anything?
Well, in fact, I haven't talked about this a ton yet, but in addition to this live album, which we've been hyping up and getting ready to put out, we've had a whole studio album in the can done for yeah, coming up on a year now.
So when you say done, you mean not just recorded, but
yeah, mixed, mastered, all the way, ready to go. So people are gonna get to find out more about that pretty soon.
Yeah.
after we've
sure
gotten this out in the world. So
I'd love to have you on again sometime, maybe to promote that one.
Sure, yeah, be happy to do it,
man. So when this episode goes up, the very next day will be when you're I guess you're releasing the record the same day as the show.
Same day as the release show, yeah.
So tomorrow you need to be at the Vinyl Lounge. I don't care what you have going on that night, clear it, because you're going to want to be here to see the Dangerous Method and also pick up one of these because there's only a few left.
Yeah.
So definitely don't miss that. We're about at an hour, so I think we kind of covered. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about the record?
We covered a lot. I feel like I've kind of talked through it, but again, I definitely want to give a shout out to my bandmates. I haven't acknowledged them enough, maybe, but my wife Emily, who plays bass in the Dangerous Method, as well as our friend John Miller, who is just an amazing friend. He's an amazing dad, a great musician.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I spent a lot of my life longing for people to play with and not having that, and just the fact that I have this band that I feel so in sync with and connected to, and just that I can rely on in a big way. It means so much to me, and I can never show my appreciation to both of them enough. And
you have a very inspiring story, man, because like you said, the Dangerous Method started at 20 when you were 27, and that's like I'm 27 now, and I feel like I'm late on a lot of stuff, but it's like it just like you can no matter what your excuse you try to give yourself, like you can do whatever you want to do.
And that was a big thing for me, was realizing that it wasn't too late to start. And I don't feel like we were all that good for a while, but with anything, it's going to take time to get to where you want to be. And after we've been a band now for over 8 years,
man,
and I feel like we've really just grown and kept getting better over that time.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been keeping up with you guys for, I guess, probably like 5 years, and
Cool,
like
yeah.
it's I mean I see the growth, but like you guys are insanely talented, very great songwriters. Something my producer Neve kind of talks about is like you have musicians, you have performers, and you have songwriters, and you very rarely get all three. And I think that the dangerous method is all three of those
I
things.
appreciate that, man. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Man, yeah, absolutely check out the dangerous method. Links below to I probably convince Joe to give me a link to this, or
Yeah.
at least not when this goes up. I'll put it up later.
Cool.
And be at the Vinyl Lounge. Thank you so much again, Joe. This has
Of
been
course,
great,
yeah.
man.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you having me. Thanks.
We'll see you next week.
All right.